All right, and so we're back for part two. The next thing that we're going to do now are things that I call upstroke gallops and roughs. So the reason things are called gallops is because they have the basic gallop rhythm. If you think of like the William Tell overture, that dot is called the gallop rhythm, obviously because it sounds like horses galloping, or at least it's supposed to. Horses have 4 feet. Anyway, so if we go back to our normal 3-stroke rough, where the sticking we were doing was back, up, down. And now we're going to change that sticking back to the normal triplet sticking of down, back, up. But what we're going to do is we're going to play that as a rough. So instead of worrying about the note that follows the triplet, triple it down like we normally do, we're going to stop at that upstroke, and that upstroke is going to be the primary note. So that's what's kind of different about this. So instead of, we're going to go. And again, to me this is a rough because it's a single motion, a single gesture. So here was the old rough, the back, up, down. And then the normal triplet sticking. So a little bit of a different feel there. So that's just normal roughs. Now if you wanted to apply this to a gallop rhythm, the easiest thing and the thing that I use this for the most is to play polkas. So you can see there on the next several lines on your sheet, I've got a couple of just polka phrases written out that use this technique. So what this does then is it forces a downbeat, which would normally be a downstroke, to be an up. So 1 and a 2. See, normally there, if you're normally to play a polka and just do this rhythm, you go down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. But that's kind of tiring after a while, so I use this because it allows my motion to slow down, allows me to conserve energy. So I'll play through this first line of this exercise here 4 times, and again notice that the downbeat of every bar is now an up except for the first note. If you have the wherewithal to start on an up, go for it. Otherwise the down is there, and then you just do the first triplet. My met is set at 144 for this. Nice kind of brisk polka tempo. And again, you can hear that that's easier than trying to go. And that'll kind of match what the guitar player is doing. It allows you to conserve your energy by using less motion, and especially as polkas get faster and get up into the 160 range, this technique becomes pretty essential to how I do stuff. So, and just a reminder, it's just a normal triplet, except that now we're ending on the upstroke and that the upstroke's on the beat. So if you wanted to take all the triplets out of that exercise, you would just play alternating eighth notes, but starting on an upstroke. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, instead of the normal down, up, 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 down. If you wanted to string a bunch of them together in a sequence, that's what I have on the second line there. So if you wanted to play, if you can actually practice these exercises to a tune if you had one, just load up your iTunes and play a tune and play along. So what you would do is you would play the first line 2 times and then the second line 4 times, since it's half the length. So I'll just do that real quick. So that's one time through your average 2-part polka, you know, 8 bars to a phrase, repeated twice. Sorry, my email just went off. The third line there that you have there is if you wanted to insert a 7-stroke roll, one of those 7-stroke rolls from a bunch of, that I presented a bunch of videos ago, that's very easy to do with this technique. All you do is string 2 together, and so this line has that at the end. So. Put on the Met and do that a couple times for you so you can see how that fits metrically. So from there, you could take that 7-stroke roll sequence and insert that in a couple of different spots back up into our normal polka form. So now I'll do that normal form, playing through the first line twice and the second line 4 times, and insert some 7-stroke rolls in some spots. 2, So you can hear there a couple of different options for where you can insert that kind of stuff. So now to apply this upstroke, gallop, and rough thing into 6/8 time, I have 2 little exercises there. So I'm going to take the metronome back down to 108 where we were before. And so the way that I primarily use these is as pickup 16th notes, and so I do not notate them as roughs because I'm still trying to play them open enough to be 16th notes, but in effect that's what they really are. And if you were to play this stuff on like an old school rudimental snare drum, that's the effect that you're trying to emulate here. And so the way that I would use these the most is to play with a 6/8 march, like, I don't know, a Sullivan's March, March of the King of Leash or something like that. Or if you have the opportunity to play any Galician music from Spain and the players are playing muñeiras, these patterns go perfectly well with that kind of stuff. So the first one is that this technique allows us to finally put an ornament on the 3rd eighth note in 6/8 time. You know, normally we'd put a normal triplet on 1 or on 5. Those are kind of the 2 normal ones. This allows us to finally have a triplet on 3. And I normally put a gap there, so. So I have an exercise here that allows you to do a pickup to the 4th eighth note or a pickup to the 2nd pulse if you feel like that. And so I'll play that for you. It's a 8-bar exercise, so I'll play it twice here. 1, 2, 1, 2. And so you can feel it kind of gives it that rudimental march feel. The second pattern is a way that you can use this to do a pickup into the downbeat, but note that now the downbeat has to be an upstroke because that's the 3rd note of this triplet technique. So again, this is this one is one that I would particularly use for playing muñeiras because the opposite of jigs, they normally have the long note on the 4th eighth note. How that works. It's the same technique, it's just whether you're applying it so that the triplet ends on the 1st eighth note as here or in the 4th eighth note as in the exercise before. So again, we'll take another break and we'll come back for part 3.